The second thing I want to just briefly open the door to, and I'll continue with this tomorrow's video because I don't want to have these go too long. I watched a movie called American Fiction last night. Now listen, I am a huge fan of from higher quality movies, I'll say. I'm not big into the blow it up. I'm not big in the special effects. I'm not big in like I love great stories, character development, setting. Like I lived vicariously through movies my entire childhood. Movies profoundly affected me. It was my dream to be in movies and to be a part of movies. I'll go describe that in another video potentially. But I don't take in a lot now because it is a slippery slope. There is programming going on in everything that's being put in front of us, whether it's TV commercials, TV programs, it's everywhere. Propaganda and selling things is everywhere. And it's gotten to the point where it turns me off for most things out there. So I don't find myself going to the bigger Hollywood blockbuster type things in theaters. I hardly ever, but I have Amazon Prime, and so I watch things on Amazon Prime. Last night, I watched American Fiction, this movie about a Black author who is having a real hard time having his high quality. This is so funny because it speaks exactly to the video that I titled The Greatest Common Factor. Exactly to it. This guy is a high caliber author, but he can't sell any books because he's not appealing to the lowest common denominator. He gets so pissed off about it that he writes, and what he's really upset about is that as a Black man and as a Black author, he's just getting lumped into writing African American studies when he's not writing something it's just a novel. He's like, why is this under African American studies? It's not about that. This is just a novel by a Black author. And he's finding that unless you're writing the stereotype, what he perceives to be this stereotype of the Black experience, then you're not getting any publicity. And so he's so frustrated that he writes this over the top, meeting every stereotype of, all the big things, stereotypes of what, the world has come or American society and the white people have come to expect from a Black, story. And he does it as a joke. He does it tongue in cheek. And of course, it not only gets published right away, it gets turned into a movie, and so there's a whole story behind this. And of course, I identify with the guy's struggle big time because I find myself in a similar spot in a certain way, right? Where I do not want to lower and appeal to the least common denominator. I really want, and I'm not trying to be an elitist asshole with trying to keep the bar high. I'm not at all. It's just, I don't want to bring, why do we have to bring everything down? We have a society that's bringing everything down. I want to be something up there that's trying to set the bar up here. So if I had to choose, and I'm not even trying to do that, I'm just trying to produce and put out into the world the caliber of things that, where I'm at, and I don't want to have to lower and appeal to things that are so far from where see that starts making it sound elitist, and it's not intended to sound elitist. It's just, I'm going to leave it at that. But what was profound in this movie was that there was a quote in there from a woman that he's dating. And she says something like, because he's speaking very frustrated. No, it's from another Black author. And he's speaking to her, and he was talking about seeing basically the untapped potential in Black society. And she said something like, potential is something that is brought up when what's in front of you is not good enough. And it made me think, and it made me really reflect. And this is why I've always loved movies. Because I am a storyteller. I am somebody that has various books in story form and novel form in progress. I love studying I love studying it from the artistic behind the scenes creation. Obviously, I love that piece. That's why I share videos like this, and so few are out there watching. But this is the behind the scenes of who Alyson is. This is the behind the scenes of one of these days, I will have projects out there. I will have books out there, and there will be hidden, if YouTube and the internet still exist, there will be hidden in that all the behind the scenes of what was going on in the creation to that. I fucking love that. I love it. And that is a big reason why I expose myself in this way, because I know that there are other life artists out there, and that maybe not many, but for the few, this is, this is how I create and what inspires me and how my mind works. So that really hit me. I'm like, wow, wow, wow. Because I've been so focused on potential my whole life. But like with everything, there's a balance. So it first made me think of my athletic background. Well, first it made me think of when she said that and said, because it's not good enough. What that drilled into me is what my entire immediate and extended family, what pressures I felt. Like we were very high achieving, and there was a lot of never being good enough, never feeling like you were good enough, ever, ever. And I think a lot of really high achieving people come from families where that sort of pressure is on, where you're just never good enough. And so there is absolutely more of a negative sort of motivating from negativity action to seek potential and to seek this woman's statement where it would be true, meaning where something in the present isn't good enough. That's why you're focusing on what it could be. So it can be construed in a way that's less positive. But simultaneously, like everything else, there's also a way where it's absolutely not negative, where it is positive. From an athlete's point of view, and given that the Olympics are playing on right now, I figured this was sort of an appropriate way to speak about it. Nobody goes nutty over talk when athletes and when, we praise the hell out of them. And, we don't give them a hard time for pushing themselves and understanding what they have to do to even begin to come to the levels of greatness that an Olympian athlete, say, and the professionals are at. They're constantly in pursuit of their greater potential. If they're constantly assessing themselves in the now, and it's not a matter of not being good enough, it's from the perspective of how much it's from a perspective of betterment, expansion, greatness. Like what, it's not that you're not good enough, it's that I could be better. What, don't fucking tell me that that's bad just because I see potential as something that, well, it's not necessarily saying that something isn't good enough. In some circumstances it might be, like when I talk about the state of the world and the collective and how we are on this planet with this many people suffering on the planet, still this many people on the planet still not having basic needs. From a collective, I'm going to say that's not good enough. Absolutely. But in terms of looking at individuals or even smaller hyper focused situations, people's companies, whatever, it's not necessarily that it's not good enough, it's that it can be better. Why not? Why not continuing to strive if the ability to expand into something that is serving its whatever it's doing better, being a better product, a better service, a better person, a better company, whatever, that is not, I'm not going to agree to believe and see that as negative. I think we are highly immature. Again, because of the conditioning upon us, because of the oversimplification and the duality of the current mainstream world, making everything black or white, this end of the spectrum or that end of the spectrum, we lose sight that really the majority exists here. But the other thing that's interesting right now is that we're in an and both world. We're shifting into, like I just said, everything exists all at once. So it's both looking at something and saying that it's not good enough or that it has potential, it better potential, could be both something looking at it saying it's not good enough and being from more negative, and it could be saying it's fine, but it could be better, and looking at it from a perspective of more positive. So Anyhow, I'm going to leave it at that. Again, I don't think there's only a handful of people watching. I don't know that anybody makes it through the end of all these. I'm talking to myself. I'm generating I'm again, this is all more for me than for anybody else. And what I know I'm going to use the remaining videos for, I have been needing to capture further descriptive videos for my ripple2020.world website. And specifically, I need short videos that talk a little bit about each of the systems of our society. So my rant that I went on in video 10, I need to then continue that, not necessarily as intense and being a rant, but I want us to take a look at each of the systems of our society: the economic system, the financial system, the educational system, the healthcare system, health and well-being from a larger perspective, art and culture, the environment. I want to have a video on each one that sort of talks about my own criticisms based on my own experience of each one, and then ideas of what I think it could look like and how I'm addressing that with the Ripple 2020 project. So that's what's on the docket. I'm not going to say in what order or when, but that's what's on the docket for the remaining 2+ weeks that I have left before I head out of town. So again, if you've continued to watch, thank you. For those in Florida, if you're watching this live in the moment, be safe, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. All right. See you later.